All right, quiz. Throw away all those little cheats. I know how you might take a Coke bottle and you write on the back side of the label and tape it back on, and then you cheaply take a drink with a magnified. It works better with a water bottle, I would suggest, because water will help magnify the cheat words, and the Coke will obscure them so you can't see. No, don't do that. You guys out there, get this next time. Make sure you put your name on it. Okay, if you'll pass those toward the center and then up, that'd be great.
I think we're continually looking for ways to elevate the brand, and the best way to do that is to start with the customer to understand what they want. I'm Stan Parker, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Krispy Kreme. So I think we've certainly intensified the amount of research we're doing over the last few years. Historically, we've outsourced our marketing research, but as we are doing more and more, we're beginning to build internal capability, and then we will continue to use outside resources sometimes, but we're building an internal capability now to do some of the things before that we haven't done inside. And also with our local partners, our franchise partners, they bring to bear a tremendous amount of local knowledge of the market. When we go into new markets in terms of site location and customers, we're looking for a number of key attributes. Some of the ones would include population. That would be daytime population and residential population. We look at traffic flows in the morning and the evening. Zoning, because of the importance of having our Hot Donuts Now sign, a neon sign, we have to have that very visible. We also look at access to property, and we look at other retail in the area. Is this a place where people come to shop? We measure customer satisfaction in a number of ways. We want to know who they are, where they're coming from before coming to the store, where they're going after they leave the store. We want to know how they feel about the brand and how they feel about our products. We certainly look at sales, customer count, guest check average. We do focus group where we get qualitative research. We've actually recently done some online surveys. We've done some online focus groups, which were new for us, and we learned a lot there. We do new product research, both concept and sensory. Research around design, both for the store and packaging. We've done communications research. We used research to help us with a huge strategic initiative, which was to improve our overall beverage program, and specifically our drip coffee or brewed coffee program. We made an acquisition of a micro roaster about 2 years ago, and shortly after that we began to go out and do sensory research with customers to understand their taste and what they wanted in coffee. We then talked to customers about how did they want us to talk to them about the new coffee, because we had some very high quality beans. We had a very unique roasting process. We had a delivery system that made sure the beans were very fresh. And what the customers told us was that was all important, but that they didn't need to know all those details. If we just told them that we were doing coffee the same way that we do donuts, that was good enough for them. So that began to influence all of the way we communicated with customers in store and through direct mail and some possible advertising that we're going to do.
Okay, so today we're looking at those customers. So thought for the morning. Psalm 139, verse 1. Lord, you've searched me and known me. You know when I sit down, you know when I get up. You understand my own thoughts afar off. You are surrounding me when I walk and when I lie down. You're acquainted with all thy ways. So God knows you in a detailed, methodical, systematic way. So he knows how many hairs in your head. With me, he has to recount about every 30 minutes because they keep falling out. Why does he know you like that? Because he views you as his customer. And when we think of our customers, we need to know our customers in a detailed, methodical, systematic way. We need to know our customers. So 373 times in the scriptures, the Bible says, know the Lord or know God. And one verse, because they didn't know the Lord, destruction reigned upon them. So that says we're God's customers, but God is our customer. So let me give you an example of coming to know our customers. So I went to CenturyLink and CenturyTel at the time, and I've been there 5 weeks, been the vice president of marketing for 2 weeks. And Karen comes up to me and she says, Joe, if DSL internet doesn't double in sales next month and stay that high every month for the rest of the year, you're not going to meet your bogey. I know what that means. That's like a veiled threat. You need to meet your numbers. And I need to double sales to get that done. So I got together a group of 21 folks. My DSL team, my graphic designers, our market research people. I got 21 people together, really smart folks, and said, we've got to double sales. Now, so far that year, first 5 months of the year, first 6 months of the year, we'd sent out 2.5 million pieces of literature to customers potential customers trying to get them to buy our DSL high-speed internet product. And my product manager, Mark Wallace, was a DINK. D-I-N-K, he was a DINK. Double income, no kids. Graduated college, got married, no kids, work is big, and then personal time's big, right? So the literature that we've sent out for the last 6 months has a person dressed kind of like I'm dressed, a guy like this, or a girl dressed, business attire, sitting at a desk in their home office, working on some spreadsheet or something from work and using high-speed internet. Then it would say, here's some things why high-speed internet will help you. Well, Mark, when he went home, if he was going to use the internet, he used it for work. Mark was selling to himself. And that's one of the biggest mistakes young marketers make. They think they're the customer. What would I want? How would I buy this? So as you guys are doing your product descriptions, right? You've come up with this brand new product. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen in projects like this is people think the customer is college students. So they're selling and they're marketing to college students. Well, for most of the products you guys are going to have, most of them, college students are not the customer. Sometimes the customer is a doctor, like those contacts, those are for optometrists. That's the customer. So you have to market to the customer. So we got together and we wanted to study the situation. So who buys high-speed internet in your home? If your family was going to buy DSL, who in your family would buy it? How many say dad? That's almost everybody. How many say mom? Few. How many say one of the kids? Not a chance, right? So what we did is we did a focus group. We did 6 of them around the country, and we did 6 of them for our current customers, people who had bought DSL within the last 6 months. We brought 8 to 12 of them together, and we just talked to them. How did you decide to buy DSL? Why did you choose DSL over cable modems? What was it that triggered you? All sorts of questions, right? And then we had 6 focus groups where we brought in customers who had bought cable modems instead of DSL. And we asked them questions to try to figure out why did they go that route instead of with our product, which is what we wanted to do. So we asked all sorts of questions. Who bought? 89% of the time, Dad purchased DSL. Dad. So if we think about this, does Dad buy DSL like he buys a pack of chewing gum when he walks into QT? Or does he buy DSL more like he buys a boat? Now, who in here has had Dad buy a boat within the last year or two?
It was a little while ago.
Okay, so a boat,
Yeah.
Expensive boat.
No.
So how much did it cost?
I mean, it was expensive. It was like $2,500.
$2,500. Anybody have a dad buy a big boat or an RV? An RV? Okay, and how much was it? $800,000 RV. So when your dad goes to buy this RV, does he just one day go out and buy it, drive it into the driveway, go into the house and call the family in, hey guys, come look at this $800,000 RV that I bought? No. So did your dad, before he bought it, bring home a bunch of brochures? And who were those brochures for?
For him to research,
And for,
for us to get
how about mom?
divorce. It was for us.
Divorce. Now that'll make a lot of difference. That changes things. So here's a normal guy when he gets married. He's been single. And so they got a new apartment and he thinks, we need a big screen TV. So he goes out and the wife comes home and there on the wall is an 84-inch big screen television that cost $8,000. And her eyes are like this and she says, what is this? And he says, oh, this is going to be great, honey. I went out and bought this. How much did that cost? Oh, it was $8,000. It was a real deal. They wanted 12, but I talked about 8. And he learns that it is not his money anymore. It's their money. And he just doesn't go out and spend $8,000, right? Yeah. So for you guys, he brings these brochures in for you guys like it. If they were still married, and I'm not going to ask why they didn't miss their marriage, but if they were still married, he'd have brought these things for her to look at. And he said, you know, honey, we don't go on vacation very much. Can you imagine us going to all the national parks, taking 3 weeks off and going to national parks with the family in an RV? She's like, no, we don't go on vacation. What would it take to get this? If I say no, will we go on vacation? Right? And it's like, and so she thinks about it and he works on her. Right? Takes her to the RV show. Walks her and treats her like she's in high school. Hey, honey, climb right up here. Sit down in that chair. How comfortable is that? Oh, try the one over here. Is that more comfortable? Or is this one more comfortable? Do you like this RV better than this RV? Which one do you like better? Right? So he's buttering her up, right? Now that's on a very expensive thing. So a lot of boats, $27,000 boats. Now, you may go out and spend $2,500 without your wife. I probably wouldn't. That seems like that's dangerous. I would talk a long time in advance, probably 6 months, about how, this boat would really be good. Well, we'll all go out. Moving around. So with DSL, a $50 a month purchase at that time. Does a man just decide, go buy it? We found out through our research, no. The wife had to agree. And wives weren't agreeing. Dial-up is just fine. I don't need anything faster. So we did all this research and we came out with a new piece of literature that we laminated. And in this piece of literature, it had a kid sitting at a desk with the PC in front of him, the dad behind the kid, and the kid is doing some homework, right? So they got a Word document over here and the internet over here, and the dad is like this. Because what we want is we want to give the dad ammunition to convince them all. The guys already wanted DSL. They hadn't bought because the wife was saying no, right? That's $600 a year, forget it. So we give him something, and so he says, look at this, honey. If we had high-speed internet, I could help the kids with their homework. Now, deep in her soul, she knows there's no way she's going to get this lousy man to help the kids. But hope springs eternal. So she's like, get him to need help? Is that a commitment that you help the kids with their homework? Oh, now she starts wavering. And then we listed the things on that literature that she was interested in. Research health topics fast. Research recipes. Download music. Shop online. And it was really all oriented toward the woman, so the man had the information to convince the female to buy. Now we laminated. Why did we do that? Well, if you're like most everybody else, you grab your mail and then you sort it next to the trash can. Right? So it's right? So it gets a 6-second look, and if I want to look at more than 6 seconds, I put it in the back, and then I throw it all away. Now it is amazing to me how much mail I get if I come home first. And if I don't come home first, I never get any mail. Now, how many of you have seen your dad at some time look through the trash to look at the mail? Anybody? Yeah, so what happens is, and I've done this, I open it, and I looked at it, well, there's mail down there. She said, and I reached down and I pulled out the mail. Well, I looked through this and it's got my name on it. Now, it is a federal offense for this woman to throw away my mail. That is 5 years in federal prison for interrupting the mail that was mailed to me. I should turn her in. So we laminate it so that he can wipe the coffee grinds off it and learn what he needs to say to her and show her the picture. Hey, honey, did you see this? She's thinking either no or didn't I throw that away? He shows it. I could help the kids. Right? So we got to know the customers. We changed the literature, mailed out that literature, and we had 100% greater response. We met budget that month, and we kept doing mail outs like that. And for the rest of the year, in fact, for the next year and a half, We met target every single month because we understood the customer and spoke to the customer. You follow me? Yeah. Yeah. And so this lasted for a year and a half, and then Karen wanted to double sales again. But that's another story we'll get to later. So I give you Spencer's law number 2. Spencer's law number 1 is know thy product, know everything about it. What are its physical, service, and symbolic attributes? What chemicals is it made of? What manufacturing parts have to go into it? How big is it? What color is it? What does the package look like? We've got to say, how do people use it? Right? What buttons are there? Where are the buttons located? How do they touch it? How do they know that they should turn this button instead of that button? And what does it do for them? So know thy product. So law number 2, know thy customer. What do they want? Did you hear that Krispy Kreme? Where do they come from? Where do they come from before they come to Krispy Kreme? Where do they go after they leave Krispy Kreme? Why is that important? Well, if suddenly I learn that all these customers are going to work afterward, maybe I can talk them into buying a dozen instead of buying 2. Good. And now we change our marketing to make friends at work bring donuts. No? Yes. Right? Did you catch how did they phrase their coffee? Our coffee is as good as our donuts. Well, now that speaks to me. Because I love those donuts, right? Too much. Right, know thy customer. So here, for example, and I've got to go over here. Got to stop the share on that. And I've got to share this one. Okay.
Time left for you on my way to better things. I got no time.
Why do 63% of Americans think financial institutions aren't interested in helping them? Maybe because they aren't. With H&R Block Financial Advisors, now everyone can have access to smart financial advice. You get investments, financial services, and retirement planning, all on your terms.
HR Block cares for you, really? Do you really think that H&R Block cares any more than any other advisor? No, but they did some market research and they found out that people don't think their financial advisor cares about them. So I tell you what you already think, and therefore you think I'm honest and I'm different. Yeah, smart, smart. So how do we get to know the customers? How do I get to know my customers? I get to know my customers by doing market research. Market research is a process of collecting information that I can use to make marketing decisions, right? So I'm going to get to know what my customer is like. The first big marketing research project that was ever done was done by this guy, Air, in 1879. And Air went in people's trash cans in New York and Boston and a couple other cities. Now, is it legal to go in to search through somebody's trash cans? Actually, yes. Once you take something and you put it on the road, it's not yours anymore. It's public domain. So when somebody doesn't pay their apartment and they get kicked out of their apartment and the landowner puts their stuff out on the street, they got to get it packed up quick, because when it's on the street, suddenly it's not theirs anymore, it's public domain. So this guy goes through people's trash and he goes back to his client, who is a farmer. And he tells the farmer, people trust tin cans. They trust food that's in tin cans, right? And you can put your food as a farmer into the tin cans and you can ship it all over the country and it'll be preserved and people trust it and think it tastes good and people think that it's not going to get spoiled. So you can do that. And that's how we got Campbell's tomato soup. Because his wife was making soup and then condensed it, dehydrated the water out of it, but they needed a way to sell it all over the country. And Ayers helped them by knowing that the customer would accept the product. Market research. Now, this is L'Oreal Kids. Let me stop the share. Back here. Okay. So this is L'Oreal Kids. Now, you guys probably know that before we had this, the biggest deal was Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo. So 150 years ago, Johnson & Johnson realized through some market research that when parents washed their kids' hair, the soap got in their eyes and they would cry. So they came up with Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo, and they owned 99% of all sales of baby shampoo in the country for the next 100 years. They were making so much money, but they were fat, dumb, and happy, and they didn't, in a methodical, systematic, controlled way, continue to study the customers. And what happened is that L'Oreal did some market research, and they were just asking a bunch of different questions. And they found out through these questions that parents cared not only about no tears, they cared about the kids not getting knots in their hair. So they made this shampoo. Now, here's my personal story with this shampoo. We had this stuff. And my daughter, my wife goes out with her friends one night. Now, I recommend you do that. Guys need to get away from the wife. Girls need to get away. It gives you time away from the person when you're married, and it lets you talk about them. And everybody needs that relief, right? And to hear somebody else who's got a spouse that's even worse. Because you hear their stories and it's like, thank God I'm not married to that woman. Right? That's good for everybody. So she goes out to complain about me. Oh, no. She goes out to dinner with some of her friends. And she says, Joe, would you give the kids a bath? I said, sure. I mean, I have two little boys. Now I got a little girl, but I've been giving the boys baths for years. Right? It's no big deal. So get the boys bathed and bathed, and then they're playing. So I put Stacy in there, and we were out of this shampoo. So I just used my head and shoulders. So I put a big amount of head. I mean, she's got hair down about here. She's probably 2. And so I put a lot of head and shoulders in, put it in her hair, mix it all up, and it's lathered all over the place. Take some of the bubbles, put them on her nose. We make some animals out of the bubbles, have a lot of fun. And then it's time, so I rinse her hair off and I dry her hair. Just like I dry my hair, just like I dried the boy's hair. I got a towel and her head's here and I went like this. And then I take the dry part and, you just rub it all over the place and dry it off. And when I pulled the towel away, the babies have this really thin angel-like hair. Her hair was as tight against her head as my hair is. And it was in all these knots. I was horrified. And so I got the brush and put it on top of her hair and start pulling. And her head comes with it. So I literally had to put my hand on her head and put the brush in and pull with all my might, and she's screaming and crying, and I'm screaming and crying. And I, you just hear the hair ripping out of her head. And the brush was full of hair, and, but I had to get these stupid knots out. So I'm ripping and ripping. And finally, I can't stand it anymore. She can't stand it anymore either. And there's still all these knots in her head. So I got a pair of scissors. And I cut the remaining knots out. Now, I have never in my life been in so much trouble as when my wife got home and looked at my daughter. The next day, she took Stacy to a beautician, her first beautician visit, and they cut her hair again, a little better than I had cut it. And I went to the grocery store before work and bought 6 bottles of this stuff. We were never going to run out of this stuff again, ever. Ever. And every time we used up a bottle, I went and bought another one. Now she stopped using it, right? But we had 6 bottles. So when we sold our house a year and a half ago, and we cleared out, I had 6 bottles of this stuff I threw away. I mean, I was not going to run out of this stuff ever, right? This stuff was great. 6 months after they came up with this, they had 60% of the baby market shampoo sales. Johnson & Johnson lost 60% market share because they were stupid, because they didn't continually, in a detailed, systematic, methodical way, understand the wants and desires of the customer. So they are an also player, and these are the big guys on the street for baby shampoo, especially for girls, right? So now while we're here, let's talk about this coupon, okay? We're giving out a coupon. Now, remind me your name? Sarah. So Sarah, you got 3 kids, right? You gonna buy this stuff? Yeah, they're all girls.
Yeah.
Little toe heads, long hair. You gonna buy this stuff all the time? Yeah. You are, remind me. David. David, you are the product manager for L'Oreal Kids. You the man. That is a great job, right? I've got an old friend who was product manager for a product for Revlon. And man, what a job. It was great. So, so are you going to give her a coupon? You are?
Yeah.
You are? Noah. Noah's the new product manager for L'Oreal Kids, right? Or Noah, are you going to give her a coupon?
Yes.
You are? Isaac, you are the new product manager for L'Oreal Kids. The last 2 guys we had in there just didn't understand the customer. Are you going to give her a coupon?
No way.
Of course not. Why not?
Because she's already gonna buy it.
She's addicted to this stuff. I want all the profit I can out of her, right? Yes. If that's true, why do we have coupons? Who is a who are coupons for? New customers. Now, what does this do to a new customer? They've been buying Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo, and they get this coupon for this stuff. Now, this is a lot more expensive than Johnson & Johnson. But what the coupon does is reduce the cost, make it sound like a deal. It eliminates some of the risk of purchasing. So, hey, even though I pay more than Johnson & Johnson, even with the coupon, I'm going to do it and try it. Then I may want to give them another one because I want to get them addicted, right? So is there at any point to where you want to give her a coupon? Good answer. What might that maybe be?
there's like a competitor and she tries something else?
So if you become subject to churn, right? So you're thinking, Johnson & Johnson comes out with baby shampoo with no tangles, right? Would you buy them?
I'll try it, yeah.
So when she's about to try it, you give her a coupon. Then you're going to save 75 cents on something you know is good, and you stay. And you eliminate that competitive disadvantage, right? So you all know A1 is the #1 steak sauce, right? So Heinz 57, let's see, not Heinz 57. I can't remember. There was this barbecue sauce, and they were going to come out with a steak sauce to compete with A1. So what A1 did is they cut the price in half the week before the other stuff comes out. Now it takes you about 6 months to use up an A1 steak sauce bottle, but now you have two. It was a 2-for-1. So now you have two. So you're not going to buy steak sauce for a year. The other company went out of business of the steak sauce market because they didn't get enough sales. Brilliant. Eliminate the competitor through our marketing efforts. Okay, let me go back and share. So all of you have seen this before, so you don't need to write it down. What is it? What have you called that since 6th grade?
Scientific
The
method.
scientific method, yes. So in marketing, we apply the scientific method. Everything you learn in statistics, we apply to understanding the customer, right? So all those principles of statistics. So one branch of marketing is marketing research. The biggest area you hear, data analysis, right? And the biggest area where data analysis is done is market research to understand the customer, right? So we define a problem. I think we need a shampoo that does more than stop tears. I think we need one that stops tangles. We do some exploratory research and find out nobody's got that. So that's a really good idea, right? Exploratory research. Imagine the product you guys are coming up with. Are there any kind of products that are similar, or is the industry have something out there that yours is revolutionary and better than everything, but what's the industry like? Well, I better go understand that. Right? Understand the other products, understand the customers who might buy that kind of product. So I formulate a hypothesis. I think people would like this. I create a research design. I collect primary and secondary data. I give the same to a bunch of others and use this on your daughters. What do you think? And they tell me it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. They'll never use Johnson & Johnson again. When can they buy it? All right, I interpret and make marketing decisions. Market research. So here, I need to change my share again. Oops. Stop share. So I want you to look at this commercial and then tell me what from marketing research helped them design this commercial.
You get a cup and a half of flavor, a cup and a half of flavor in every cup of Instant Maxwell House.
That's because Instant Maxwell House captures the good, rich flavor of coffee beans, fresh hot from the roasting oven, bursting with aroma and flavor.
You get a cup and a half of flavor in every cup of Instant Maxwell House.
Get Instant Maxwell House coffee.
Let's watch it again. Now, up until this time, instant coffee tasted about like celery. Right? So they've come up with instant coffee that tastes like how many of you like coffee? Everybody likes coffee. How many of you like instant coffee? Just a couple of you. Spend a lot of time overseas? No? Boy, overseas, they drink a lot of instant coffee. Europe, South America, a lot of instant coffee. But we're coffee snobs here. We wouldn't do that. Right, so here, we've got to change your mind about instant coffee. So how do we do that?
You get a cup and a half of flavor.
You got to admit, these are pretty good graphics for the 1950s.
A cup and a half of flavor in every cup of Instant Maxwell House.
That's because Instant Maxwell House captures the good, rich flavor of coffee beans, fresh hot from the roasting oven, bursting with aroma and flavor.
You get a cup and a half of flavor in every cup of Instant Maxwell House.
Get Instant Maxwell House coffee.
All right, so before I do that, let me ask, what's the song? You get, so you've seen it twice, you remember it. That's pretty good. And some of you tonight, before you go to bed, will be trying to stop singing. You get a cup and a half. Yeah. All right, so, and I'll show it to you again or one or two more times so that really does happen. So you got to plant it in your brain, the evil man that I am. All right, so what do you see in this commercial that they learned from market research that helped them formulate the commercial? What did they learn the customers want and they put in the commercial? Flavor. All right, so here I'm going to
Coffee.
put it on the label, right? And I sing this song.
You get a cup and a half of flavor. A cup and a half of flavor.
Right? Flavor. I want flavor. What else? What else did they learn from the research that helped them design the commercial? Come on. Okay, so the smell. Smell is as important to coffee as the taste. Why? Because 60% of taste is smell. You can take an orange, put it up your nose, bite into a lemon, and you will taste orange. Because smell is 60% of the taste. Those flavor, those molecules drift up your nose, you smell them, and it tells you taste. Right? Yeah. So how do they communicate smell the aroma? Okay, so in here,
Here's the good, rich flavor of coffee beans, fresh hot from the roasting oven.
notice it comes from beans. See, most people thought instant coffee, you take this chemical and this chemical, and you mix them together, you got instant coffee. No, no, no. Our coffee comes from beans. We roast the coffee, and then we make out of the coffee, we make instant coffee. So it's coffee. It's not a bunch of chemicals. So smell. Smell is really important. Sometimes when I want to be evil, which is often, I'll tell my wife on Friday night, why don't you sleep in tomorrow morning? But then I get up and make coffee. And she smells that coffee, and she comes out of the bedroom, I gotta have some coffee. Last year when we were in our big house, I'd make coffee, the smell goes all the way upstairs into the bedroom and through, down this hall, up and down, and she's down for coffee. Right? And then I get a lot of work out of her because I caffeinate her. So smell. Now notice as we start this off,
You get a cup.
we communicate the smell through the steam, right? Steam coming out of the beans over here,
Rich flavor of coffee beans.
right? And steam coming out of the cup.
You get a cup
Watch the steam.
and a half of flavor. A cup and a half of flavor.
You see it? It's not coming from the coffee. They have these steam jets. They have steel tubes behind the coffee, and they're pushing steam out there to make you think, smell. It smells really good. And then
Flavor in every cup of Instant Maxwell House.
That's because Instant Maxwell House captures the good, rich flavor of coffee beans, fresh hot from the roasting oven, bursting with aroma and
now you guys know I'm a coffee guy, right? So we used to roast coffee. So the coffee that when we roast the coffee, it's basically like a dryer. This big dryer is about this big, this wide, and about this deep, right? And it's just like a dryer. It has a paddle, and we start that thing up, and it's moving the beans around so they centrifugally go around the drum, right? And then in the center of the dryer, we have gas, and literally, and I'm not kidding, the flame is this wide and this long, and it comes up in the middle and heats that coffee up. And when it gets to the right temperature, we spray water on it. Steam goes everywhere, right? Because we want to cool it down quick. Because if you heat coffee too much, it pops like popcorn. So if you ever had dark roast coffee or high yield coffee, that's coffee that is heated too much and it pops, and they grind it, and because it's popped, it has more volume, and so they grind it up, the popped coffee, and they get more coffee ground. So they give you less real coffee because it's popped, right? So at that point it steams, and then we pour the coffee into this big vat, and this vat has a paddle, and it's about 6 feet wide, and it just goes like this and stirs the coffee so that the coffee slowly cools, right? So I'll go there and I look at that. Steam is coming out of those beans just like this. I mean, steam's all over the place. In fact, you could smell, even if when we weren't roasting coffee, you could walk by our plant and be a block away and you would smell the coffee. Because it's a wood plant, and we've been roasting coffee there 100 years, and that coffee had infiltrated the wood that much with the aroma. But if you took your hands and you reached down into that vat and you pulled that coffee up, you would not, I guarantee you, you would not go, oh. You would reach down, bring it up and go, ah, because you burned your hands to a crisp. Because the beans are 200 degrees. This is all fake. The entire commercial is fake, right? It's all fake. So
flavor.
You get a cup and a half of flavor in every cup of Instant Maxwell House.
Get Instant Maxwell House coffee.
it will even help you
Maxwell
when, let's see.
in every cup.
Roasting oven, bursting with aroma and flavor.
You get
It'll even help you win 2 girls at once. It has benefits, right? And so you ought to try this because it has aroma. It's real coffee. It tastes great. It's got flavor. So they did market research. They found out what people wanted, and then they communicated to them. Guys, have a great day.